What is up, everyone? I am Jamie with Three Little Goats Homestead, and we are in my tiny little kitchen today because we are going to be making some cheese. So 4th of July is right around the corner, and that means barbecuing, that means mac and cheese, that means cheese dips and queso and all of the things. So today we're going to make a really easy cheese that is kind of a dupe for Velveeta, but you can name all of the ingredients in it, and it melts deliciously. It's perfect in mac and cheese, and it's really beginner friendly because you don't need any cultures, you don't need rennet, you don't need a cheese press. You just need some basic kitchen ingredients and a fine mesh strainer. So without further ado, let's get it. So for this recipe, I'm using a gallon of our raw milk with the cream on top. Again, you can use store-bought milk if you want to. We are using citric acid. We are also going to be using some baking soda, salt, and some butter as well. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is, just like most cheeses, we're going to heat our milk up. I'm trying not to make a big old mess. So I'm going to heat this up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Once we hit that, I'm going to take my citric acid. I'm actually going to dilute this in about 1/4 of a cup of water. And that way when we come to temp, it'll be all dissolved and ready to go. Alright, so we are almost at 140 degrees. We're at 138. So I'm going to, well, nope, just hit 140. So I'm going to turn my heat off. And I am going to stir in my citric acid that I have already dissolved in our water. I'm just going to give this a really good stir, and you'll see that the curds will kind of start separating. Now make sure you get it nice and mixed in. You can see this is kind of similar to if you made mozzarella this way, where you add your acid to separate. So I'm going to let this sit for a few minutes to do its thing. I'm going to take it off the heat, and I'll bring you back in a second for the next step. Alright, so for me, I am using a big colander just to hold my fine mesh strainer in place. If you're doing this with goat milk, you'll want to use a butter muslin on top of this because the curds are going to be a lot smaller and not stable. But for cow's milk, a fine mesh strainer works perfect because this is a acidic way. I'm not going to save it. I don't like really cooking with it, and I can't really heat it up to make ricotta because it is an acidic way. So it's going to go down into our septic tank to keep our septic tank nice and healthy. And then I also have another pot here you'll see for in a second. As we're straining off, I'm actually going to transfer my curds into this pot so we can cook them down in a minute. So this is what we are working with, and I'm going to start just pouring a little bit at a time. Because these curds are very delicate. So the way I do it is I pour it into my mesh strainer and I just start swirling it. And yeah, it doesn't look the greatest, but you're going to swirl these until they kind of start to come together. You don't need to get all of the way out, but you want to get a good portion of it out. And they'll start kind of collecting on each other. As you can see, they'll start rolling into a ball. And then I'm just going to transfer that into this pot. And work on the next bit. I find doing this in just small increments makes it a lot easier to get a good majority of the way off. Curds and just strain them off. Pop that in. And now we're ready to start cooking. Alright, so I have got my heat on medium, and to our curds, I'm going to add in my butter as well as my salt and my baking soda, and you'll see a chemical reaction will occur. This cheese will actually start to kind of foam up, and it's going to look not very pleasant at first. Don't worry, it does get better as we heat it. So what we're doing is we're cooking these down, and then it'll eventually start to melt completely. And that is what we want, is a nice melted cheese. Alright, so while our milk was heating up, I went and grabbed my container and I've just rubbed it with a little bit of olive oil. You can also place some cling wrap on here if you want, but this is what we are working with, our nice smooth cheese. So I'm going to pour this all in. And we are going to place this in the refrigerator to firm up. So we're going to get this in the fridge, and I'll bring you back when it's ready. Alright, so this was a batch I made earlier today. It's all firm and set up. Just going to run a butter knife around the edge to kind of break it free. And hopefully just pop it up. There we go. And then, as you can see, it slices just like a Velveeta cheese, and it melts wonderfully. It makes the best mac and cheese. So I'm actually going to cube these up and put them in an airtight container. That way when we have macaroni and cheese this week, we can just throw some cubes in there. I'm also going to use it for some quesadillas and grilled cheeses for lunch, and maybe even just snack on it. Alright y'all, so that is what I have got for you guys today. If you try this recipe out, let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more dairy related videos, I've been doing a lot of different cheeses, a lot of ice creams, a lot of yogurts and everything for the farmers market. So if you want to see more of that, as always, leave it down in the comments below. And if you have any other questions, as always, leave them in the comments below as well. And if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. We put out videos every single week. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.